X-Men Apocalypse. Let's take a look at it. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It has been a while since my last upload, but I'm back, ready to talk about another movie, and today I'm going to be taking a look at Fox's X-Men Apocalypse. So, let's get into it. And before I start, make sure you stick around till the end of the video because I got an announcement for you guys. So the first thing I want to talk about in this movie is the title character himself, Apocalypse. Apocalypse isn't a bad character, but he's not a particularly good character either. He's just kind of okay. My biggest problem with him is it's really unclear who he is, and what he can do. It sounds like he's been alive for pretty much forever. The movie starts in 3600 before Common Era, and he looks like he's dying. He's old, and that's the first time we see the transfer into the body that he'll be in when we fast forward to 1983 for the setting of the movie. So it's just, they're talking about him being a false god. He thinks of himself as a real god. So, which is fine. We're supposed to understand that he's like the first mutant. But it's still just kind of unclear who he is. He's so mysterious, and there isn't really anything uncovered about him that makes it easier to understand. I don't know, we just never really understand who or what he really is. Is he really a deity? Yeah, don't really know. Or it's probably just like that intro in the beginning, some mutants think they are gods, but still it's never even stated that he just thinks that he's a god. So that's one thing. And the other thing is he's just kind of a cliche villain, and I think this is one of the few things. I looked at the Rotten Tomatoes consensus again, got a 47 from critics. I think that's pretty low. I don't think it's that low of a score, but I do agree with their one-liner or summary about the film, which I'll read to you. It says, "Overloaded action and a cliched villain take the focus away from otherwise strong performers and resonant themes, making X-Men Apocalypse a middling chapter of the venerable superhero franchise." I actually think that's pretty fair. Again, like I just said, I think Apocalypse is pretty cliche, but the whole movie in itself isn't that bad. Now let's talk about what I mean. Instead of just throwing the word cliche around, let's talk about why Apocalypse is. His only motive is really just to wipe out the entire human population, wage war on the humans and just totally annihilate them. And you may be saying that's similar to somebody. Well, Magneto kind of has similar motives throughout his time, especially in the original X-Men trilogy. With Magneto, at least to my recollection, he's never wanted to just wipe out the human population to extinction. He's just always wanted to wage a war against them. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's all that he's wanted to do, just war against the humans. Never really said anything about making them go extinct. And even if I'm just totally wrong in saying that, Magneto's always been written well. That's always been his dynamic, and he's just a good character. Now, that doesn't mean Apocalypse in text in Marvel Comics isn't a good character, but just this portrayal of him is not executed very well. So his motive is just kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever. And lastly, his powers. It kind of suffers from a similar thing that the movie Captain Marvel does. One of the things that Captain Marvel didn't do well, in my opinion, was the title character was the least likable character in the movie, the most confusing character in the movie. And I'll use her powers, for example. One thing I had with Captain Marvel that bothered me was I didn't really know what her powers were. She could fly, set herself on fire. Apparently she's really strong. She has laser beams. I don't know. It's just never explicitly stated this is what she can do and this is what she cannot do, which made it either if she could do something that she needed to do, it's oh, well, that's convenient. Or if it's she can't do something and she's facing an issue, it's, oh, well, that's unfortunate, which that doesn't even really happen. It's mostly just, oh, convenient, good for her that she can do that. Apocalypse suffers from a similar thing. Now, I know it's made clear that since his conscious has been transferred down into other mutants over generations, he's gained their powers. But I'm not saying you need to list off every single one of Apocalypse's powers, but you need to make it clear to me as the viewer as to what powers he has. Is he strong? Is he fast? Is he strong and he can't deal with fast people? I need to know what his strengths and weaknesses are, and I'm just not really getting that. So Apocalypse overall as a character just isn't a really great one because his motives are just whatever, and his powers, I don't really know what they are. And I don't think this is a reflection of Oscar Isaac portraying the character. I just think the character was not written very well. Now let's talk about a positive. Michael Fassbender as Magneto, flawless as ever. The prequel trilogy, or I guess it's not a trilogy anymore with Dark Phoenix being out, but the prequel movies in the X-Men franchise, I mean, they're definitely some of my favorites. X-Men Apocalypse, not so much, and I haven't actually seen Dark Phoenix yet, but X-Men Days of Future Past, easily my favorite X-Men movie, period. X-Men First Class, easily in the top 5. And I think a lot of that has to do with Michael Fassbender as Magneto and James McAvoy as Professor X. They work so well together, and they're just so good at playing their roles. And just, I just, wow. I mean, Michael Fassbender's Magneto just blows me away. And especially in this movie, you know, he's gone to Poland after the events in DC. He's made a family, and that gets taken away from him again. He lost his mother in Auschwitz in Germany in his childhood, and now he loses his wife and child. Like, this is some really heavy stuff, and I honestly don't even mind. I tried to do some research. I don't think Nina is an actual comic book character. I don't think Magneto ever had a daughter named Nina, but I could totally be wrong. But if I'm right, I don't even mind that those were made up characters for the purpose of this movie, because it's so amazing, and it's so sad, and it's just, wow, it's really well done. And it's almost kind of unfortunate to me that something that good has been shoved in a movie that's really not that great. I know we needed to find a way to get Magneto pulled into Apocalypse's plan, and I wouldn't change that. Like, I like that storyline. I like Magneto with this new family that he's trying to have. He's trying to move on, but the people won't let him. And we have that interaction between Charles and Eric, where Charles is like, I know there's something good in you, and there's that reference back to First Class. I told you that you could be more. And Eric says, I buried that part of me with my family. Wow. I mean, it's just really well done, and I think that is such a high point in this movie. I mean, Michael Fassbender never fails in this role. I know with the X-Men going now to Disney and Marvel Studios for MCU, I'm really excited to see the mutants in the MCU. But wow, I'm definitely going to miss Michael Fassbender as Magneto, but who knows, maybe we could see him again. Alright, another low point I have with this movie is it's not really clear who the main character is. Now, that might be a little strange considering that this is an X-Men movie, and most of the X-Men movies are about the team as a whole, but I feel like in pretty much every one, you can pinpoint one or two characters who the story is about. I'd say for the original X-Men trilogy, each one of them is mostly about Wolverine, except in the first one, Rogue plays a pretty big part, and in the third one, of course, Jean plays a big part. And I could go through all the movies and try to pin down who the main character of it is. I think the only one where that's a little difficult is Days of Future Past, because you have Logan going back, you're learning more about Charles, Eric's got a big role, Mystique's got a big role, so that one's probably one of the few where, I mean, I just named 4. So that one might be an exception, but still I think it's a really well done movie. X-Men Apocalypse, I feel like it tries to focus on too many characters at the same time, and it doesn't work. As I'm sitting watching it, I'm trying to figure out who the story is really trying to revolve around. Apocalypse getting his false godliness back, Jean and trying to uncover her powers, Scott and learning how to use his, Charles and whatever's going on with him, Eric, because we have that amazing exposition for him, which it's not that it goes nowhere, but then it's just kind of like he's a side character, which is really unfortunate. Or is it about Mystique? So I think that suffers from that a little bit. Is it about Quicksilver trying to be with his dad? Probably not so much. But the point is, I feel like there's a lot going on in there, and it's not really pinned down. So that may be something for me. Also, when I just said something about Jean and uncovering her powers, so in the final battle, when they finally, I guess, pin Apocalypse down and destroy him, maybe it's just me, but I'm not a huge fan of how everyone was really struggling with Apocalypse. It looks like this was really going to be the end, and Jean just like blows him up somehow. Or I know when she like unleashed that power, it like phased him so they could all rally together to pin him down. And I know Jean with that Dark Phoenix power and everything, she is incredibly powerful. I know that's just part of her character. But I don't know, I just wasn't just a huge fan. I wasn't really a huge fan of her just not really sure, and then when she just unleashes it, it's like total havoc, no pun intended. So, maybe this is just me, but I thought that was a little strange. Last thing I want to mention, this really has, I don't really think this has anything to do with the movie that much. I just found it funny. So it takes place in 1983. Another famous movie that came out in 1983 was Return of the Jedi from the Star Wars franchise. And we see Scott, Jean, and I'm pretty sure Nightcrawler and some other mutant girl. They all went to go see it, and they're leaving the theater. There's a debate about which one is the best. And Jean says something like, "We all know that the third one is the worst." And that made me laugh. Like, out loud, I had a belly laugh, because X-Men Apocalypse is the third one in this prequel trilogy. Or again, it's not a trilogy anymore, I guess, but it's the third one in this prequel series. And again, I haven't seen Dark Phoenix yet, and I've heard not so great things about it. But up to this point, X-Men Apocalypse was definitely the worst one in there. And we definitely have some movies that are thirds that are definitely not the best. I mean, Spider-Man 3. But on the other hand, we do have some movies that are the third that are pretty good. Thor Ragnarok. I like Iron Man 3 the best. Revenge of the Sith. Toy Story 3. So I know that really doesn't have anything to do with the movie itself. I just thought that was funny and wanted to mention it. So that's going to do it. Just taking a look at X-Men Apocalypse. Like I said earlier, I don't think that this is a bad movie. I just don't think that it's a particularly good one. I agree with Rotten Tomatoes in their sentence that I read to you earlier. It's a cliche villain, and everything else isn't that bad. It's just kind of all over the place. I definitely don't agree with like a 47. I'd probably give it a 6 out of 10. So yeah, it's not the worst thing in the world. Alright, so I hope you all stuck around, because if you remember what I said in the beginning, I've got an announcement to make. So I'm going to be doing a giveaway. This right here. You can see, still in shrink wrap, you can win a copy of Deadpool. This is Blu-ray and DVD, so don't be discouraged if you don't have a Blu-ray player, because the regular DVD is in here. Also has a digital copy in it as well. How do you enter? All you gotta do is leave a comment on this video or any video that I upload in the next however many days, however many weeks. Today is May 17th as of the uploading or the recording of this video. I'm going to say that entries will be done on June the 1st. So if you want to enter to win a copy of Deadpool on Blu-ray and DVD, all you gotta do, leave a comment on this video or any of my videos that come out after this one, and I will just randomly select someone to win a copy. So hopefully you'll enter. Good luck, and I'll see you guys in my next video.